So if you're like me, then you played and loved Pikmin 4. It might even be a perfect game for my standards. There's very few things I can say that are actually wrong with it, and nothing that couldn't be fixed with a toggle through an update. Pikmin 4 was great, but it's not Pikmin 4. It was Pikmin 5. I had a whole intro thing where I was talking about revealing this, but you already know what I'm talking about. It's Hey Pikmin. So back in 2017, Nintendo wanted to try to keep the 3DS alive through a bunch of smaller titles getting put on it, like Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn, and other things like that. And for some reason, they decided the best way to carry on a big open area collectathon RTS was a 2D platformer. Do you want to know the best way to keep this sandwich together? Glue! So it was a 2D platformer follow-up to a franchise known for its strategy in big open areas on the 3DS in 2017. I don't even have to show you the sales numbers, you know this thing failed. But not only because of the conditions it was in, but it was also a pretty shitty game. Maybe now that Pikmin 4 is out, we can go back and enjoy Hey Pikmin, since it's also potentially getting a Switch remaster, allegedly. Maybe it'll have the same thing as people going back to play 3D World after Odyssey and realizing it's actually pretty good. I wouldn't get my hopes up for a Switch remaster though. I'm pretty sure there's a direct Miyamoto quote where he said, "F this game," so I wouldn't bank on it. Just a quick note, I'm playing this in an emulator, so you don't have to watch the video like this. Alright, let's finally play Hey Pikmin. This game uses the circle pad and stylus. Okay, so it's either I play this game on an emulator and I look like I'm speedrunning Lego Star Wars, or I play this on a 3DS and give myself wrist pain. There's no winning. We create our save file and open on a shot of Captain Olimar returning home after a shipment, and he is very eager to see his family. So eager, in fact, he skipped the number 4 when counting down. The universe decides to punish him for this insult to the numeric system, causing him to crash land on an alien planet. This isn't PNF 404, this is Hey Pikmin's own unique planet that also just happens to have Pikmin on it. These must be a different species of Pikmin though, because all these Pikmin have the 1,000-yard stare and giant-ass eyes. Also, the combined onion from Pikmin 3 is also here for some reason. No idea why, but it's there. We get conked out, and the ship, who is sentient, like back in Pikmin 2, wakes us up and tells us we're boned. We're out of Sparklium! What is Sparklium? Aside from a cheap excuse to get the game in action, it's also our ship's fuel supply. Without it, flying is a no-go. But fear not, because our ship detects faint signals of the slop not too far away from us. Then Olimar climbs up a ledge, and that means this game is the height of Olimar's athletic abilities, and that's really funny. And we find none other than Pikmin hiding in a bush. Who's surprised? Who are you expecting to find in there? Your wife? Also, how the hell did Pikmin get up there? One second they're on the ground, the next second they're just way up there. How'd they do that? Completely unrealistic, unplayable. Also, Olimar has a jetpack now because they needed to give the character that can't jump a way to move around in a 2D space. So how we control Olimar is the circle pad to move him around, tapping the whistle button on the touch screen to round up our guys, which might I add, this voice sounds nothing like Olimar. Olimar has a comically deep voice. What did they do? Hitting the jetpack button makes you jetpack, I know, I'm surprised too, and tapping different parts of the touchscreen lets you throw Pikmin. So on an emulator, I can hold the controller on my lap with my left hand, then control the game with the mouse with my right hand. But when using a 3DS to control this, which was how it was intended to be controlled, it feels like I'm trying to write down something while holding a piece of paper instead of just putting it on the desk. This feels wrong. If you want to play this for some unknowable reason, play this on an emulator. This jetpack sucks nuts, though. It is very evident that Olimar was not made for a platforming game. But it's nice that Nintendo pulled through to give us a Pikmin 2D platformer anyway, because if they didn't, I could confidently say Pikmin is a perfect franchise with no bad games in it. Anyways, we used the Pikmin to grab us some of that good Sparklium we long lust for, and what's that? A ring worth 100? So this game follows a lot of the stuff that Pikmin 2 did. Find treasure, convert it into the thing we need for that specific instance, and get enough of it to beat the game. Usually there's 3 treasures per level you can collect, and if you get all 3, you get a little golden ring around the level. Cute. Now back up just a minute, Sonny. Levels? Yes, it is a Pikmin game that has levels instead of areas. More on that later though. Like, when I say later, I mean like the end of the video. Sorry. Okay, so is it just me or does Nintendo really like putting yellow Pikmin in caves? In Pikmin 3, you found them in a cave. In Pikmin 4, you discovered them in a cave. And in Hey Pikmin, you also find them in a cave. What is your deal? Unfortunately, if you had a gun to your head right now, and the guy holding the gun said he wouldn't pull the trigger as long as you could guess which Pikmin are found in the second level of Hey Pikmin, you said blues, and I have bad news for you. Yellow Pikmin, they go higher and are immune to electricity. Forgot to mention this earlier, but reds are immune to fire. And in most Pikmin games, reds also have a damage increase. But I literally couldn't tell if they did or did not in this one, so let's just say they did, so it's more interesting. This first world is just dedicated to teach you the basics in light puzzle solving. And when I mean light, I mean light.
Even lighter than this lamp.
Guys, I'm having really bad writer's block right now. Can we not talk about it? Make Pikmin push blocks and wait 12 years for them to get it to where it needs to go. Throw Pikmin at Sparklium. The list is ended. Now, Pikmin isn't just about puzzle solving. It's also about combat, and every enemy in the first world either immediately explodes upon a Pikmin getting thrown at it or just requires you to mash throwing Pikmin at it until it dies. Now, this is a platformer. How's the platforming? He didn't even touch the ground. This is the clunkiest f***ing jetpack I've ever used in a video game. And jetpack and clunky should not go in the same sentence together. But you might have noticed when I killed an enemy a second ago that their body kind of just disappeared. Well, that's because you can't populate more Pikmin in this game. Instead, you can only find Pikmin in the levels. I mean, it makes sense, and it'd be way more annoying if I had to run back to the onion every time I need more Pikmin, especially considering Olimar in his frantic attempt to escape the planet decided to shuffle everywhere. So, this is fine. Also, the maximum amount of Pikmin you can have at one time is just 20, a bit off from the 100 we're used to. Now, I'm aware I've been pretty negative so far, but there are some things I like in this first world. There are certain areas that only Olimar can reach, and it isn't allowed to bring Pikmin in, which is cool. I like that I didn't have to pay for this game. I'll talk about more stuff in a bit, but for now we have the first boss. Since bulb orbs are no longer standard enemies you can find in the levels, they decided to make a really big one as a boss. Okay, so I went through the liberty while editing to make a gap between the screens so you can tell what's actually happening. But on Citra, it doesn't allow for a gap between the screens for some reason, so when I did the boss's introduction, it looked like this, and I lost my goddamn mind. It looks so f***ing dumb. Anyways, big bulb orb. It's a fine boss. You have to hit it in the eyes, and then run underneath its legs to deal damage to it. It's whatever. Anyway, we killed the big orb, and the ship sends us up and away like it's the Rapture. And we can now move on to Area 2, where hopefully more Sparklium is. Actually, who am I kidding? Of course there's more Sparklium there. This would be a very quick game if there wasn't. So here we are, Area 2, the obligatory water level for the platformer. Fortunately, though, I don't hate them. Feels about as whatever as Dry Olimar. Predictably, it's here where we get blue Pikmin. They're the only Pikmin who can swim in water, but you already knew that. But the thing is, if I say information you already know, but in a confident tone, you'll listen to it anyways. These levels underwater actually aren't that bad. The game definitely picks up a bit in World 2. Along with the puzzles like this one in World 2 where you have to use yellow Pikmin to connect electrical wires, or wait for anode beetles to create a light source so you can walk across these flowers. And the only ways you'll have enough Pikmin to link the electrical cords is by not letting the Pikmin die. But there is another reward for keeping your Pikmin alive, and that is the Pikmin Park. Not only does that sound like a place in California and Japan I really want to visit, but it's also the place the Pikmin that don't die go after a level. So this is their solution to there being no onions and no way to take Pikmin into levels with you, essentially. Once Pikmin are in the Pikmin Park, you can send them out to do menial tasks, like go into areas and scout for Sparklium. But only Pikmin of specific types can do certain things, like blue Pikmin exploring a pond or something like that. Also, this image of red Pikmin finding Sparklium looks really funny because it looks like they just burnt down a village to find this. This is all just whatever. They'll never bring back huge amounts or anything, and this is just made to be cute because this is a handheld. Also, what the hell are those things in the camera zoomed out? Welcome back to Skinwalker Ranch, because goddamn, those things are not of this world. Anyway, after a bunch of dull platforming and losing 8 yellow Pikmin to anode beetles, we finally made it to the final level of the world. It's, yet again, whatever. It's a big old water dumple that'll charge at you, and you have to throw blue Pikmin at. Not even the rocks it shoots out can hurt you, it's pathetic. On to World 3. Gee, I wonder what type of Pikmin we'll find inside the crystal area. Oh hey, look, it's more red. Rock Pikmin! These fellas are immune to crushing and can break crystals, but they can't latch on to any enemies, which isn't really a problem when there's no limit to how fast you can tap, so I kind of just... Easily the best Pikmin type, bar none. Since combat kind of just evolves into how fast you can mash, Rock Pikmin are perfect. Anyway, I think everyone who called this game bad back in the day never got past World 2, because World 3 is actually pretty enjoyable. I'm gonna be eating those words later. Perhaps I'm even becoming a fan of Hey Pikmin? The combat has gotten better in this world too. I mean, since Rock Pikmin could pretty much obliterate anything they gave a side eye to, they needed to come up with new ideas, like the snail guy you have to chuck Pikmin over to kill him. It's an idea that only works in 2D, so it's cool that a single enemy took advantage of that. The platforming's just as dull as always, but at least these environments look nice. Like the first level, it reminded me a lot of those Donkey Kong Country crystal levels, or the second part of the lava reef from Mania. I thought the stage gimmicks are also pretty cool. We have these flowers you need to get enough Pikmin onto in order to get higher. Bomb rocks are turned, but this time Pikmin who are carrying a rock can't go up vines or anything, so you need to work around that. The game even combines these two concepts into a puzzle where we need to get these two red Pikmin out. That's more than I was expecting! Or the final level before the boss, or they bring back the Gatling Groink for the first and last time it has been seen since Pikmin 2. I never understood the hate the Groink got. I mean, some people treated it in Pikmin 2 like it killed their entire family. Okay, actually, yeah, it did do that. Hate warranted. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this earlier, but after a certain amount of Sparklium, you'll start to unlock new abilities. Like after 2,000 Sparklium, you'll unlock the worst map I've ever seen in a 2D platformer, or after 10,000, you'll unlock the Piccolopedia. Okay, I love the Piccolopedia as much as anybody, but can I just say, Pikmin 1, there was no Piccolopedia. Pikmin 2, they introduced the Piccolopedia. Pikmin 3, they got rid of the Piccolopedia. Hey Pikmin had the Piccolopedia. What the hell's wrong with this franchise? Anyway, the Piccolopedia is about as good as it's ever been. I've never been one of those people who bother to read through the whole thing, but it's been fun looking at the creatures at least. What I did really enjoy looking at though was the ship treasure logs. These were a lot more interesting to read through because they genuinely were really funny. Like the description of the telephone saying it was a chair used on vacation so you could always keep in contact with your boss, and Olimar says this planet must have not had intelligent life. Or one you've probably seen online where he talks about the NES cartridge for the original Mario Bros and how it looks like Mario's about to die on the cover. These are great. Or one for a clock where he thinks it's counting down to the end of civilization and it's already stopped.
Oh. Pikmin! Eat for everyone!
Hey, do you ever realize how these are the 3 Nintendo franchises that all take place after nuclear war? Anyway, on to the World 3 boss, which is actually really good. I mean, for regular Pikmin standards, it's quite okay, but I'll take anything I can get for this. It'll charge towards you, smashing in the ground, and then you'll have to wait for it to charge up to wail on its stomach with rock Pikmin. It then will run away and scale a wall, crashing back down, repeating the cycle. It'll turn into a ball and try to crush your Pikmin and even shoot projectiles out. This is a good boss. Fantastic for this game standards. Maybe people are too harsh in this game because so far it's actually been pretty good. But with that thing knocked up and rocked out, we can move on to World 4, which takes place inside of a park, which is a neat set piece. This world is definitely the most forgettable for me so far, unfortunately. Except for this first level, which was really cool. Al Lamar starts at the bottom of a structure and doesn't get Pikmin until he scales up to the very top, which he can then go down, break blocks throughout it, and exit the tower, which was at the bottom. This is a really cool idea and was executed greatly. Unfortunately, I can't remember a single other level from this world though, so I'm going to talk about something completely unrelated now. This game's animation is actually stellar. Throughout the levels, you'll find these little animated set pieces of Pikmin just goofing around and doing things, and they're always fun to watch. The Pikmin are just little guys goofing around, and I love it. Or how when you whistle a bunch of them out of a bush, they'll do a little jump and twirl in the air. It looks good. Animation for a 3DS game did not mean to be this good, especially when the Pikmin are like microscopic on actual hardware. And especially considering I'm using an emulator to upscale this game on PC, so it looks way better. So these animations for the Pikmin probably were like 5 pixels tall, which is honestly a pity. And hell, while we're here, let's talk about the music. The music.
What music?
I can't remember a single damn track from this game, which really sucks because Pikmin is known for its great catchy melodies. Like the name of what me and your mom did last night, the Awakening Wood theme. But anyway, besides all that, nothing's really going on in World 4 besides it looking pretty. On to the boss, which the music itself may sound like a fucking joke, which is complemented by the boss being a fucking joke. So the game gives you yellow Pikmin so you can hit the boss on the top screen, but the problem is it has mostly thunder attacks, which yellow Pikmin are immune to. It went down in a minute. World 5! World 5 happens to be an autumn theme, and I've always been a fan of locales and games with pumpkins and fall theming, so I have big expectations going in. We find winged Pikmin here, and I'm not even gonna lie, it's my favorite implementation of pink Pikmin. We find winged Pikmin here, and I'm not even gonna lie, this is my favorite implementation. We find winged Pikmin here, and I'm not even gonna lie, this is my favorite implementation of pink Pikmin. Oh my god! We find winged Pikmin here, and I'm not even gonna lie, this is my favorite implementation of pink Pikmin in any Pikmin game. Okay, I'll talk about this. Why the hell did they switch the naming conventions halfway through the series? We have red, yellow, blue, white, and purple Pikmin, then we have rock, winged, ice, and glow Pikmin. Bulbmin don't count. This has always annoyed me, so here's my proposal. Instead of red, yellow, blue, white, and purple, we now have fire, electric, water, toxic, and heavy Pikmin. Boom, fixed it.
God, I'm such a picky bitch.
Winged Pikmin can... I forgot, what can they do again? On top of flying, they can also interact with the environment like no other Pikmin can, such as pulling up platforms by vines and letting Olimar glide. I guess this can be seen as the second strength of the game being 2D, is the fact that winged Pikmin let you glide and fly around in the air. I guess you learned a thing or two since the Plasma Wraith incident. Also, congratulations to Olimar on his weight loss journey, because in Pikmin 3, you needed 5 Pikmin to carry him, but in Hey Pikmin, you only need 4. Can we get a congratulations Olimar in the comments? Along with that, make sure to hit that bell. So then that we have all of our Pikmin on the table, table, by far the best is the pinks. The only downside is that they do less damage than other Pikmin, but their strengths will far outweigh their flaws. So if you couldn't guess by now, this is my favorite world out of all of them. And the boss didn't disappoint either, being a giant shear grub, the Queen Shearwig. She'll chase you down a vertical shaft with the wing boys. It's a pretty easy fight, that doesn't mean it's not cool though. I have more to say on World 5, but I'll save that for later, and when I mean later, I mean the end of the video. I'm sorry again. Now on to what I presume will be the final stop, World 6. Oh wow, cool fire world. Oh wow, cool different puzzles. Oh wow, cool, they made the fiery ball blacks look f***ing disgusting. Can you tell I'm running out of things to say here? The final boss here is pretty cool though, from a fight standpoint, not design standpoint, because it's literally just a big blowhog. You have to throw a bomb rock at it while it's sucking in air, then go to the other side and mash Pikmin on its ass. It's whatever, it's forgettable. Sorry I'm sounding really bored and worn out right now, but that's because I am. Since I have nothing better to talk about, let's talk about the enemy designs. What is a Pikmin game without its enemy designs? And actually, I like a lot of them. Crumbug. 10 out of 10. How could this game have almost killed the Pikmin franchise when we have Crumbug? Or these duck enemies, which are very prevalent throughout the game. Even this one mini-boss, that's a duck flamingo thing. It was very cool. I would actually like if some of these guys migrated to the mainline series one day, but I don't think that's happening with this game's reputation. Under Sector 7, Ice Area. I guess my sentences of the Fire World and a Nintendo game being the final one were a bit off. Snow World.
My parents are getting a divorce.
There was actually a cool gimmick in this level I actually liked, where Olimar rides on a bottle cap. Too bad almost everything instantly kills you in this level, that's no fun. Alright, the next world's our last, so I'll be talking about the final miscellaneous stuff before we set sail over there. So in some levels, you can actually find alternative exits to areas, and finding one brings you to a secret spot, as the game calls it. And much like my secret spot, they're pretty disappointing. All of these are just basic bitch puzzle rooms that can be solved in 20 seconds. And your only reward is an 8 pellet to get more Pikmin in the Pikmin Park. Okay, 1, that's a horrible reward. 2, there is no such thing as an 8 pellet in any Pikmin game. This thing has never existed before and since.
Hey, did you know the people who made this game are working on the new Sonic game?
The boss from this world is forgettable, so is everything else here. I'm scripting this an hour after I played through this world, and I've pretty much forgotten everything about it. On to the final world, which is more poisony, which makes me very sad that the white Pikmin aren't in this game. Yeah, so just take the poison levels from New Super Mario Bros. Wii and copy and paste them over to here. It even has a raft level, I'm not kidding. Also, I didn't mention this earlier because it hadn't come up at the part of the game I was at yet, but being limited to only the bottom screen to throw Pikmin is very annoying. And if you don't understand what I mean, imagine you're on the top with Olimar, and there's an enemy at the top of the screen with you. But to throw Pikmin, you need to hit the bottom screen to throw. So in this specific scenario, you physically cannot hit the enemy. Game design. This rarely happened, but when it did, it was extremely annoying. Anyhow, we make it to the final boss, and surprise, surprise, it's the Emperor Bulblax. This time he's fucking huge, though. This will be like the size of a dog in real life. The fight goes the exact same way as it did in Pikmin 1, but this time he has the power of Crumbug on his side. So we finally get enough Sparklium to leave the planet, but it's obviously not that clear-cut, however. Apparently, due to some plot convenience, we lost a ship part upon crashing that just so happens to be essential to us leaving. So Sector 9, this game's final trial from Pikmin 1. It doesn't even have a world map, it just boots you immediately to the final boss. It's like they gave up. Fortunately, this final boss is actually really cool. No memorable boss music like the Titan Dweevil, but I still thought it was interesting.
Which is a great way of saying I hated it.
Okay, well I didn't hate it, but man, this is just kind of boring. So it'll shoot poison balls at you in the first phase, then it powers up and goes leggy mode in the second phase, where the red Pikmin gain the abilities of yellows from nowhere and are able to be shot like 20 feet in the air. You just need to shoot the thing in the legs, who cares? But I will give it this though, this is the first and last Pikmin enemy to have the weak points on the bottoms of the legs, so I guess that's some bonus points for you. And its final phase where it goes wing mode, and I dealt half its health bar in one cycle, yep, okay. And the day is saved. This thing climbs out with his ship part in its neck, and we can finally head home. Where then Olimar skips the number 4 in his countdown, but this time the punishment for missing the number was playing the game. So that's Hey Pikmin. Did I like it?
No.
Did I hate it?
No.
Then what were my thoughts on it?
You ask far too many questions version of me that resides in my head.
Now, hold on a second. I was saying earlier that I was liking this game. What happened? Well, the thing is, after the autumn levels, I felt like this game stopped trying. It felt like it was going on a consistent upflow of innovation and new ideas and what they were doing, but besides a few case instances like the sled level and the bottle cap, it just kind of stopped. This game wasn't bad or anything, but it was just boring. And that's honestly the worst thing I can say about a game. Because boring games are no fun to talk about. When a game is boring, you only get 40 pages of script talking about the base game, and that's not enough to catch your attention with a big hefty timestamp. So to summarize my opinions, I would say Hey Pikmin is nothing but missed potential. But I'm not just willing to criticize the game without thinking of ways to change it. shut up. So how would I fix Hey Pikmin? A question nobody asked, but you're gonna sit through anyways. Number 1, don't make it a fucking 2D platformer. There was one thought that was going through my head a lot while playing this game, and especially when the winged Pikmin gave Olimar the ability to glide, and that was why the hell this wasn't a Metroidvania. That would have been perfect for a Pikmin 3DS game. Here's how I would structure it. Olimar crashes on the planet and finds red Pikmin, and also needs to get Sparklium, so it's the same as it currently is. But as you're going around, you'll find hazards that you can't deal with in your current state. For example, a crystal that would make a bridge to another part of the level, and another part would have electrical wires hanging down with a switch on top to turn them off. Hey, fun fact about what's on the top of my head, did you know there's only one electrical hazard in the entire game past World 2, and it's a random ass electrical gate that never shows up again? Have fun editing me trying to find the relevant clip for that. Anyway, how you would progress is by finding the onions from different Pikmin. Instead of that big Bulborb chasing a bunch of random Pikmin for shits and giggles, it's attacking the blue onion in a swamp. The first phase would be you fighting it on land with red Pikmin before it running to a bog where you can't bring reds, so blues come out to help you instead. After defeating the big bulb, the blues would instinctively carry it back to the onion, and this would teach the player about Pikmin propagation. This is the first introduction to the onions because you don't find the red onion until much later. Before I keep going, I might as well talk about the second hurdle that comes with this whole thing, and that's Olimar himself. He just moves far too slow and his jetpack is too clunky, so I'd make the jetpack not have any lag to it and it moving faster, keeping Olimar's momentum, who would be running instead of walking the whole time. I mean, by the way, Olimar can run in this game, but only during boss fights. They literally had a way to make the game go faster, but they actively chose not to do it. I hate you, Arzest. So moving on, now that you have blue Pikmin, you can go back to an earlier area where a pond was, with one of those little pond bridges to get over it, but now that you have blue Pikmin, you can jump down into the water, entering Sector 2. So you might be asking yourself, if there are onions, then how is the whole Pikmin bringing things back to the onion thing going to work if this is a Metroidvania? Well, that's where the Pikmin Park comes in. It'll function pretty much the same way, but this time after killing an enemy, the ship will beam it back to the Pikmin Park just like it does with treasures, allowing you to propagate more Pikmin while having this, say, be a 2D platformer without it feeling really hard to get more Pikmin. Speaking of treasures, getting more Sparklium not only fills up the goal you need of 30,000, but also every 4,000 you collect powers up Oliver even more than just filling his health bar like it does now. For example, the first upgrade would make him run like in the boss fights, the second upgrade would increase the amount of Pikmin you can carry with you from 20 to 25, the third would raise your max health from 3 to 5, the fourth upgrade would make his jetpack both faster and go farther, the fifth upgrade would increase the amount of Pikmin you can carry from 25 to 30, and the final upgrade would be the treasure gauge from Pikmin 2, beeping whenever treasure is close. I decided to make that one the final one, so when you do the cleanup and you have all the Pikmin types, it'll hopefully be easier. Anyways, after going through an alcove, you fight the long water dumple, yes, that's its real name. Its first phase plays out the same way, but this time with a twist. After you defeated it, it slams into a wall, draining the room and separating you from your blue Pikmin. But it's okay though, because after it does that, a bunch of yellow Pikmin drop down from the ceiling and its second phase begins, where it starts to fly. And you have to use the yellow Pikmin's ability to be thrown higher to hit it. Also, I know the water dumples are a part of the grub dog family, and no member of the grub dog family can actually fly, but shut up, this is Pikmin logic. Also, it makes a cooler boss. After its defeat, it'll spit out the yellow onion, and you can go back and not only get some secrets, but also you can reach that switch from before, leading you to a long vertical climb up through a tree. And then the park area, where yellows would be the focal point of it. I struggled with the question of if I should leave the park sector in, since it's kind of a rehash of the autumn aesthetic, so here's how I would change it. The whole area takes place during night, and yellow Pikmin can relight the area by connecting electrical currents to lights, like light bulbs and stuff. I think that one boss from Pikmin 3 that did that gimmick, but like the entire area. You could still explore the area without the lights, but it would be harder to see and the enemies would be much more ravenous. Plus, you need to turn on all of the lights to progress. That's because after turning on a street lamp, the electric cottonade would come down, attracted to the light, and a fight would break out. The fight would play out pretty much the same way, but this time having a second phase where it gets pissed and shoots a thunderbolt and an industrial fan, causing it to turn on and all of your yellow Pikmin getting blown away. But it's okay because winged Pikmin coming at the last second, catching Olimar. Now the fight is you and the boss flying upwards for the whole thing, and after it's defeated, dropping the pink onion. Pink Pikmin could unlock the gateway to the final area, but also the autumn area directly outside the park, which is already perfect, so I'm keeping it the same way it is. But obviously the boss being different, being the lurking slurker. First phase is the same, you get the gist, but this time only yellows and pinks can reach it, and this would be the only boss to not have a second phase. Instead, just summoning little slurkers that were already found in the area. After defeating it, it spits out the black onion, giving you rock Pikmin. From there, you can now go back to the first area and break the crystal bridge, leading you to the original Sector 3. The boss of here would be the Armurk, with no changes to its first phase. But this time, it'll have a second phase where it'll get mad with its eyes turning beet red and starting to spit fire everywhere. The rock Pikmin, getting terrified and running away, lead the charge for the red Pikmin to come in and smack it up. After defeating it, you get the red onion, and now you can head to the second to last area, being the fire one, with only red Pikmin being able to extinguish the fires that are everywhere. And the final boss of the area would just be the Emperor of All Blacks. Look, I'm not super full of ideas. Cut me some slack. Now, you might have noticed how every area except for the final one has a heavy emphasis on one Pikmin type, which was on purpose, and obviously in those areas there would be treasures only specific Pikmin could get, like a fountain in the park area only blues can go into, for example, but the final area would stay the poison area and require the usage of every Pikmin type. Then from there, it'd pretty much just be the same as it currently is, and boom, fix your game. Obviously, problems like Oliver being on the top screen and not being able to throw Pikmin at things there is still a problem, but like, that's kind of just a limitation of how the game controls, so it's a bit out of my reach. But that's how I would fix Hey Pikmin. And finally, with the Hey Pikmin that we got instead of that, I feel bad for you. Cause why the fuck did Nintendo put you in the hands of R-Zest? Who honestly looked at the Yoshi's New Island guys and said, yeah, I want them making a Pikmin game. Who else but the Boom Beast guys? I think my biggest complaint about Hey Pikmin now is that there's simply no reason to play it anymore. Every Pikmin game is now on a handheld device, either playing it on Switch legitimately or Steam Deck through emulation. The best I can hope for is this game to get a Switch remaster, but that fixes most of the problems, but unfortunately the level designs are something that I don't think the remaster could really ever change. But there is one thing this game has over every other Pikmin. This one has Crumbug.
I jumped the shark.